The following may contain language that is not suitable for all audiences. It's time for the Low Fact Podcast. Wow, way to cut me off there.
That's what I do when I'm editing too.
Ah, good. So here's a. Let's get right onto it. Here's a thought that I've had more lately than not. Do you think the media has killed itself?
Yes.
All right, end of discussion.
I think they're on their way to killing themselves.
I think they've already done it.
Really? You think it's already...
I think the media killed itself.
Harakiri has been committed?
No, because there's honor in that. That's a ceremony, and it's something to preserve honor. Stupid as it is, I think that's a...
Or is it seppuku? Wait.
Same difference, but it's. I think that's the stupidest thing anyone ever thought of.
Killing yourself in an honorable way?
Well, killing yourself to preserve your honor or some junk.
Yeah.
But then again, the flip side I think is pretty stupid too. The honor killings.
What's an honor killing?
Oh, like the one that I always think of is, let's say that in the Islamic world that a woman gets raped.
Okay. Their
family would kill her because of the shame.
That's just fucked up.
Well, I think so, because that's like a double whammy, right? I mean, unless there's this whole idea that women are basically whores, and they're always just kind of throwing their shit out there for someone to pick up. So they are asking for it.
That just doesn't compute to me at all.
But that's a double whammy to me, right? I'm like, okay, so a woman gets raped, which is pretty bad as
awful.
It is.
Awful.
And now you're gonna kill her because she got raped? I mean, that's just... But, they also use it for having extramarital sex or premarital sex.
Did they kill the guy?
No, which is funny.
Just the woman.
Funny queer, not ha-ha.
So what about the rapist?
I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to kill him too, but we never hear about that part of it.
Well, you probably don't know who the rapist is.
Even if you did.
So he just kind of... Well, does he get a pass, or what happens?
I think if they get married, then it kind of washes that stain away.
Oh.
And I might be intermixing various cultures. I know in Mongolia, right? Or kind of one of the traditions among some of the Mongoloid tribes, which also kind of happens in present day, right? You kidnap, quote unquote, kidnap a woman.
Uh-huh.
And it can actually be a kidnapping. Actually, you actually physically take a person, and to be your bride, and that's probably in situations because on the great massive steppes there just weren't that many women, so they become commoditized. I mean, that's part of the whole reason why the Chinese used to bind the women's feet.
So she couldn't escape?
Pretty much.
That's messed up, too.
It really is. So basically you're sitting around being a baby factory.
That's messed up.
It's super messed up. That's why Chinese women generally can't cook.
But the Japanese started doing it, too.
Binding women's feet?
Yeah.
The
geishas do it.
I have not heard of that.
Yeah, the geishas bind their feet.
How can they dance and play instruments?
I don't know, dude. I just know they do it to have the small, demure-looking feet. Well, you don't see the foot, obviously.
Well, again, I think, and one thing that I read was the whole foot binding thing was really because they thought that would make a woman's vagina a little bit more tighter because your feet are so messed up. You have to use other muscles to stay upright, which kind of...
That's fucked up too, dude. What the hell's wrong with your brain?
I didn't invent it.
Just the fact that you know about this, though. Well, I guess that doesn't... Yeah.
What's wrong with knowledge?
Nothing. I just, when you told me that, though, I'm like, really?
A little bit of knowledge is bad, but what's wrong with knowledge in general?
That just sounds like a messed up reasoning.
Well, it is. And I can understand why women get real pissed off at men about how they've been commoditized and thought of as property and...
Definitely.
And all kinds of stuff. And, because I'm a child of the post-60s, I believe that women and men are equal in the sense that one gender is not any better than the other, just like I don't believe any person's any better than the other, which is why I have a hard time, especially coming from a society that my parents come from, which is a very hierarchical society. And I think if I grew up in Asia like I would have been, that I probably would have had a super hard time thinking the way I think, but some people think that the way I think is a product of my upbringing. But even here, right, there's a whole hierarchical deal, and you know you have to respect your betters and your elders and whatnot. And I do. I just don't think that they're any better than.
Well, but even just calling them a better, doesn't that mean that you're supposed to think that they are?
What do you mean?
If you call somebody your betters, then
Yeah, I use that in an ironic sense.
Oh,
I use better like people use woke and snowflake,
okay.
just in case you guys didn't catch on to that.
So you think it's a done deal? The media.
Yeah, I think the media killed itself in 2008. Like the final knife got
2008.
Yeah.
The election.
Well, no, 2008 when basically the people in the media gave up all pretense of being objective.
Oh, yeah. That is kind of when it started.
Because yes, we're not objective. I know that. We can try to be as hard as we want, but it's going to be pretty hard to do that. But to me, there is value in the effort.
Okay.
Now, in 2008, that pretense, they just like, screw it. Done. We're not even going to act like it anymore.
See, I must be a little bit behind the ball, behind the game, because I felt like for me, like when I started to see it, I didn't see it until 8 years later. I didn't see it until...
2016?
Yeah. It was like watching CNN going into the election. I was like, wow, they're not even pretending to cover this fairly or I was like, this is what it's going to be like.
You're just all in your own little world for 8 years, didn't notice?
I guess so, yeah.
But it could have been happening way before. I mean, think about yellow journalism. Spanish American War. William Randolph Hearst basically is a famous line. There was he sent a reporter out to Cuba to cover the war, and a photographer. And the photographer like wires back Hearst like, dude, there's nothing happening here. And he's like, dude, just provide the pictures. I'll provide the war.
Wow. Why is it called yellow journalism? Because it's not.
Maybe because they thought Asian people were idiots. I don't know. It's because it's not white. I don't know. I don't know why they called it yellow journalism, but it's.
It seems like it's probably a dodgy thing.
Well, because it's not pure, right?
Right. Okay.
And now I'm thinking of Malcolm X.
Why?
Oh, he's the
movie.
Yeah, Malcolm's getting his.
Wait, was that Denzel?
No, it was Denzel.
Shut up.
No, because Malcolm is getting his education in prison by the guy, the Muslim guy. It's like, look at their language. Everything they do is really to keep you down. They call you black and they call themselves white. Well, look at the dictionary. What does black mean? Evil, dark. No good. Blah blah blah. Everything bad is black, and then like white, pure. So yeah, yellow journalism. It's probably yellow because it wasn't pure white. I don't know. Whatever. But one can say that's when it started. But even before that, right? I mean, there's stories about Thomas Jefferson getting raked over the coals by the reporters in the 1800s when they wrote stories about his dusky Sally.
Right, like his impure wife,
Sally Henning, who was the black woman who was basically the same age as his daughter, was his slave, and it was like an open secret that he was having sex with her.
Oh.
And so they
was he?
Yes.
Okay. They called her Dusky Sally.
His Dusky
Sally.
I think he was supposed to free them, his kids with her. I don't remember if that happened or not, but.
Oh, he had kids with her as well?
Dude, there's a whole bunch of people that have a genetic relationship with Thomas Jefferson, and they're black.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's another thing that. Look, the black people in America have had a raw deal.
No question.
And and it's kind of mind-boggling to me that how cool so many of them are.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met a black person that I didn't think was cool. I mean, growing up, I was surrounded by black people to the point where didn't somebody you work with say that I was black just from where I was raised?
Yes. Yeah. A woman I work with at work, she was like, that boy might as well. She said, you might as well be black.
I thought that story was funny when you told me.
I miss her. She's not at work anymore.
Telling me how, like, when she was asking you if you knew any black people, you're like, well, I know one black guy, but he's Korean. And when she was like, well, where'd he grow up? And when you told her I grew up in Atlanta, she's like, oh yeah, he black.
Oh, it made me laugh. I laughed out loud.
That's pretty funny though.
Yeah, so, I mean, what happens, okay, assuming that you're correct, assuming that the media has killed itself, what happens now?
Something else will come and take its place. Hopefully it'll be something better.
But it can only be more media, right?
Well, as long as it's not run by the same 6 companies, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's possible.
Dude, there are more things possible than we can even wrap our heads around.
But everybody's so... The existing companies have such a stranglehold, right, on everything we're seeing, hearing, absorbing. I mean,
that doesn't mean that they always will.
That's true.
And, you know, we are in accelerated cycles now. It doesn't mean that they're going to be for very long either.
Huh. But these companies are so giant.
Well, let's leave it here, and we'll talk about that next time.
Okay.